Bhagavad Gita has got everything required for a human being to lead his life. I grew up in a gurukula kind of an environment. I always used to open up my eyes to the chanting of Vedas. I was in Spain a couple of years back. A guy who was supposed to come and give the keys, he came. He was Spanish. And he opened the door and he started talking to me in Sanskrit.
So you mentioned that in 90s is when you actually had this whole idea about multimedia and etc. So how did you start off?
So Jurassic Park and Toy Story made a lot of rage in our country also. They were in awe of whatever they saw. There has to be a way that people needs to be taught about what are the technologies used in this. How are these big dinosaurs on the screen?
Did you reach that phase, that a self-doubt sort of a thing?
I am still a student because the evolving technology doesn't allow me to become an expert or a professional.
Welcome everyone once again. I'm really happy to bring the next edition of the podcast. Today we have Srinivas with us of Arena Animation, and I'm really excited to have a conversation with him. You have seen that in the past also, the conversation that we have had with various other people whom we have invited here is all about their personal journeys, their professional journeys, and we have learned so much about each one of them. And today, we would love to learn about Srinivas. So welcome Srinivas to the podcast, and thank you very much for being here. We understand that you took a trip especially from Bangalore, and that's a really, we are really thankful for that, for being here. So,
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me over. It's really exciting to be a part of this podcast, and I'm looking forward to have some very good conversation on this entire thing that we are going to have in the next few minutes.
You know, before we get on to the serious business of business, really, we always love to hear the personal journeys of people as to how, what were their aspirations right at the very beginning, the start of their, career, what were your dreams. So would love to hear a little bit from your childhood specifically, that what were your dreams, whether you are where exactly your dreams were or you have built something entirely different. And I'm sure, the family has certain expectations of you or whatever. So were they in conflict, or were you always in sync with, your family expectations, your expectations? So would love to hear about your personal journey a little bit.
This is going to be quite nostalgic because I come from a family of educationists, and my grandfather was a school teacher, and he used to teach Sanskrit at the schools that he worked in. The if you can ask me, the idea of education was in my thoughts right from my childhood. Because there used to be, if you have heard about something called gurukula,
yes.
Our place used to be gurukula. So I grew up in a gurukula kind of an environment where I used to open my eyes to this lot of kids coming in my house and learning from my grandfather on the language of Sanskrit and Vedas and other scriptures that were there. And I always used to open up my eyes to the chanting of Vedas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was my daily tenure. In fact, my initial part of my life was spent in Mumbai. I was born in Karnataka, but the entire education up to about high school was done in Mumbai. And then I went back to stay in my grandparents' place. And he used to run a school, and plus he had a gurukula. So that was there in my mind, this education is something which I need to get into. It was there from a very early part of my life. But I always wanted to do something out of the box, number one. Number two, I always wanted to be on my own from the day I start working. And number three was, I was like always on the lookout for something new. And that is when, the initial part of my life, which was spent in seeing these people gain education from my grandfather and the noble initiatives that he took and the various events that he used to handle or he used to arrange for the students. It actually had a very strong impact on my mind that education is the place that I need to be, and it has to be in something which makes a difference, which brings in a new revolution in this country or in this the entire system, and it should be really good, new, and should create an example or start a revolution is what I had on my mind always. And then I went on to do my computer science engineering in Bangalore. And then I was on lookout for something different. And in those days, I think in the mid 90s, I think if I'm not mistaken, 1994 is when the first part of the Jurassic Park came out. And I happened to watch this movie. And that actually triggered off that, how are these creatures made? What is this technology? Is there something on the education front which can train students who are interested in this to take up this as a career? So that's how it started the process. And that's how Arena Multimedia happened in the mid 90s, 96, 97 to be precise. And it's been a journey of almost 30 years now. And when I look back, I feel that it's been a satisfying journey where we have produced lots and lots of animators and VFX artists and gaming artists for the country. And today, it is the buzzword. You talk about animation, gaming, VFX, AR, VR, XR, AI, metaverse, UI, UX design. You can go on and on.
Correct.
And today, it's being considered as the biggest sector in the country, a sector which maximum growth potential. Correct. And I'm pretty excited about the journey forward, though it has been almost 3 decades, but I still am very excited for the next few years ahead, because now's the time it's going to pick up. It is looking at an exponential growth. So I'm really excited. But my background of coming from a family of educationists, being a part of the education system, and trying to create a niche or a very special segment in this sector, all put together, I think it's been a satisfying journey, and it has come with its share of struggles and triumphs, and I know it's like, but at the end of the day, it seems very satisfying that we've been able to do something for the country, for the sector, and for the field as such over these years. So that's about me.
Yeah. No, extremely interesting. So tell me this, that your initial education was in a gurukula, like you said, right? So what were the aspects of a gurukula which actually makes it stand apart from a regular school that children go to? And what is it that you learned there at that time in your formative years that actually you still till date imbibed it so much that you still in date you actually use those characteristics of yours?
Absolutely. Though I also had the formal education going to the regular school and college, but the early mornings used to be listening to that sessions, and I used to be a part of those sessions also. I could say I was a little laid back, but still that made me more active, because every day morning waking up to those chants used to stimulate the energy in any human being for that matter. So it was like, mainly it gives a very positive vibe, very positive energy. The chants that when you hear and it goes to your brain, it actually stimulates a lot of ideas. And that's when the whole thing opens up. You start thinking more wisely. You start thinking more growth oriented. You start thinking very positively. I think negativity or negative vibes is what is completely missing from your thought process. I think that's the most advantageous feeling for a human being, that negative thoughts don't come, because it spreads a lot of positivity in your mind. And that is the most, I think, the biggest advantage that going through a environment of a gurukula or witnessing that kind of a training pattern that I have seen, is that one is like, you're always positive. There is no room for negative thoughts. Good thoughts, and it teaches you discipline, because if it's 5:30, it's 5:30. It's not 5:35 also. So it's like, before anybody, he's ready. The students have to be there on time. So discipline, and then hard work, because it's not easy to master the scriptures or master the Vedas. It's very difficult if you have to be able to chant those mantras. So observation, listening skill, and a lot of hard work and practice goes into mastering those things. So if you ask me what are those 5 things that I still carry, I would say that, as I already told, it is the positive vibes, the positive energy, the confidence, the discipline that I have seen, and the hard work and the keen listening skills. Only when you become a keen listener, you can become a keen observer or a keen orator.
Correct.
So everything put together, I think if you carry those traits throughout your life, I think it helps you in every point or every stage of your life, that you are disciplined, you have good habits, you always think positive, and you also work hard towards whatever you want to do in life or whatever you want to achieve in life.
Sure.
You don't give up so easily. So I think these things or these characteristics are carried from those initial years that I have witnessed in my own family. So I think that helped me a lot in my journey. And I think as we go ahead, I think we can uncover a lot of things that happened during my struggling years, and later on how we coped up with all the struggles, and how we have come up witnessing all those things. So that's about me. It's a very simple, straightforward life.
No, of course. And I think you did mention about the Vedas and the scriptures and etc. So asking from a layman perspective, so of course they are in Sanskrit and a very, very rich language, though we have all studied Sanskrit in our schools. But of course, to gain advantage of those scriptures and those Vedas, you really need to be very well versed in Sanskrit. So from a common man perspective, do you think that if those Vedas hold so much knowledge, so much power, right, which could actually so positively impact literally everybody's life, and we are lucky that it belongs to us, right? And we have access to that. But the only problem is, do you think that they are available in such consumable formats? Because Sanskrit is very difficult, and I think that is one of the reasons that many people are unable to take advantage of those Vedas and etc. So is there a consumable format which is available where people can actually consume that and take advantage of something like that, etc.?
Yes, there are a lot of books which has been translated into multiple languages. Then the main thing is the way you pronounce it, the way you pronounce. Like there is something called as Purusha Sukta, in which when you say you don't just recite the stanza. You have this highs and lows when you recite it. It has to go through a proper training. It's not something which you can sit and learn a song or listen or learn a song kind of a thing. That is why a teacher is required, where he teaches you how you go up and you come down. When you say Sahasra Shirasha Purushaha Sahasrakshas Sahasrapat Sabhumim Vishwato Rutva Atyatishtat Dashangulam. So there is a way that you pronounce it.
Yes.
So or the Bhagavad Gita, where all of us have been taught that that Bhagavad Gita has got everything required for a human being to lead his life. It has got management lessons, it has got discipline lessons, it has got marketing, sales, strategy, all kinds of lessons in that.
Yes,
it talks about technology, it talks about how to run a life, or what are the do's and don'ts. You go through the stanzas, you will learn how to lead a life. So you need to have that interest and passion to learn.
So do you think that it is available in that format? Because I have not come across people, right, so till date, that who would have consumed these Vedas, despite the fact that literally everybody knows that there's so much knowledge and information which is lying within them, right? But yet I have not come across people. So people may have recited it just out of, curiosity or whatever. But I have not come across people that they have consumed it, they have benefited from it in that large numbers, right? That if I give you a comparison to yoga, right? Today, yoga is so widespread, right? So many people are taking advantage of that, and they can see the benefits out of that. Now, that is physical body, that is, your inside soul and etc. But these Vedas are also as powerful, if not more powerful, right?
Absolutely.
But they are not as widespread as yoga, right? So why do you think that benefit hasn't passed on to people, or people haven't realized that?
It is. I mean, like I come across so many people. Like just to quote an example, I was in Spain a couple of years back, and I had booked an apartment through Airbnb, and the guy who was supposed to come and give the keys, he came. He was Spanish, and he opened the door and he started talking to me in Sanskrit. I said, "How come you're talking in Sanskrit?" No, you come from India, so I thought I should talk to you in Sanskrit. I said, Sanskrit is definitely the mother of all the languages, but it's not the spoken language. The spoken language is Hindi. So how do you know? He said, I'm very interested in Sanskrit and I've done my master's in Sanskrit.
Correct.
He was a Spanish. Somewhere I think generations keep changing here in our country, and different generations have different kind of interests towards or leaning towards other cultures.
Correct.
But if a conscious effort is made to make sure that our children get it in the formal school of education, not just by just having the Sanskrit as a language, but also trying to imbibe the values and the meanings of what has been told in that. I think that's where it should change everything. Because there are also, right now, I have heard so many people who opt for a gurukula kind of education rather than the formal schooling system. I know a lot of people who don't put their children in regular schools. They put them into gurukula style of schools. So I think gradually it is changing. It will take time, but it is changing. Bhagavad Gita, of course, is more popular. People refer to Bhagavad Gita. All the saints and all the godmen who are there in the country, they refer to a lot of Bhagavad Gita when they preach about it, because that's the one. But the
Vedas are still,
because it's vast. It's vast. It's impossible for anybody to master everything. But you can make a start somewhere, and you have to have the interest and passion and understand the value and the importance of what you are reading.
Correct.
Then you'll be able to imbibe into your value system and lead your life according to that. And believe me, you can never make a mistake if you go with that. If you go with the flow of what has been told in our scriptures, in our Vedas, there is no way that you can make a mistake in life, because it covers every aspect of life.
Wow. No, brilliant. I mean, I would love to have more discussion with you on that, because I've always been very, very enamored, but I always felt a little limitation on accessing it in the form that I could actually consume and learn from it. Now coming to, you mentioned that in 90s is when you actually had this whole idea about multimedia and etc. So how did you start off? What was that first thing that you thought you needed to do? I know that Jurassic Park was the
I think Jurassic Park was the inspiration at that point of time, because that actually opened up my mind. I said there has to be a way that people needs to be taught about what are the technologies used in this, how are these big dinosaurs on the screen. And in fact, around that time was the first completely animation generated movie called Toy Story also released. So Jurassic Park and Toy Story made a lot of rage in our country also. People are talking about it and seeing the movies, and they were in awe of whatever they saw. And there was no proper education system at that point of time to train people on these technologies. So Arena Multimedia, as it was those days, because animation, VFX and gaming came much later. In the late 90s, probably in the early 2000s is when it came in. But initially it was only multimedia, where you have more than one medium on one platform, and it's called as multimedia. Like you have a sound, video, text, and you put everything together and render it, and it becomes one particular reel or a story or a video. So, and especially doing it during the software boom, when you had options of doing so many things on the software training part. Fresh out of college, I just thought that since I didn't want to work with anybody, and during my college days, I had this bug of entrepreneurship from a very young age. So at about as young as 18, I started doing some stuff in college while I was studying. And I used to do something to keep myself busy apart from studying to earn money. So 96, 97 is when it took shape, and Arena Multimedia was started. And it took a while for people to sync with that idea, because those days, parents used to directly tell, I mean, why would I put my son or a daughter in drawing cartoons?
Correct.
Or is there a career in cartoons? I mean, like, I don't want my son to keep drawing. And so it was like very hard convincing people.
Yeah.
A lot of struggles. In fact, each phase has been a struggle, but it's been sweet also when you face struggles and when you get back the desired result. You forget about the struggles and you enjoy the success that you have got.
Correct.
But it doesn't take away the struggles, but you like kind of, okay, I mean, like, no, I've done this, but now it's like this. So that's okay if I've struggled. Everybody goes through struggle in the initial years, but it's been a beautiful journey. Yeah.
So tell us about a moment specifically when you may have thought of, that possibly it's getting too tough. It's not moving in that direction. And were you ever on the verge of that, I think I really need to look at something else. This is not working out. Were you ever at a verge like that? Did you reach that phase, that a self-doubt sort of a thing?
As I told you, I mean, like, I have not been, it might sound a little over kind of a thing if I tell this, because I didn't allow, I was not used to getting in negative thoughts.
Correct. You mentioned that.
Yeah, so I always knew that this will work, but it will take time to work.
Yes.
How do you make it work? So let's think about ways to make it work rather than thinking that it will not work.
Correct.
So when you start something and when you get the slightest doubt of whether it's going to work or not, think about ways to make it work. Instead of thinking what else to do if this doesn't work, think of ways to make it work.
Correct.
So that's how it went. And actually speaking, in those days, doing a course or doing a program in this field, multimedia, was more, I would say, more of a style. More of what's your son or daughter doing? Is doing multimedia. So it was like kind of it was like a luxurious thing to be told to people.
Correct.
So it's like, for that reason, at least people used to come and join. So what's my son doing? Is doing multimedia. So majority of them would not know what it is. So it's
not
something
engineering,
big.
He was doing multimedia.
Yeah, something big.
Yeah, it
so
was a talking
point. That was
point.
the kind of impact that it had. And of course, we also struggled to make it known to people. That's a different story altogether, what all we did to reach it to people. But that was there. It was more of a colorful career, very, it's a kind of a high-end kind of a career program. I mean, if you're doing multimedia, that means you're doing something different, doing something big and colorful. So, though the placement of the placement opportunities were not that much compared to now, there are hardly any placement opportunities. But doing the course itself was a kind of a status symbol.
Correct.
So that's how it started. So I think probably we hit the right note at that point where, okay, fine, people do the course. We need people to come in and do the course.
Correct.
The reason doesn't matter, but they are doing the course. The more the people do, the more name it will gain. The more popularity the field will gain. So we went with the flow and it did actually really well. I mean, like, I remember in the initial years, unlike what we thought, that it might be not to that level, but we had really good people, really good admissions happening, people coming in and joining to the course, completing and doing something on their own. Majority of them used to do something on their own because the opportunities were less compared to what we have now. There are not many companies or studios at that point of time. So most of them used to go on their own, set up their own studio or do freelancing on their own. But slowly it picked up. And by, I think, 2005, 2006, it really went on the fast mode. And from there, there's been no looking back. But the initial years were there. The first few years was a struggle considering that people didn't know about this field and we had to create awareness. What is this multimedia? What does it have? How does it help you? How does it make a career for your children? Those things we had to actually take it to their door.
So how did you go about, so I assume that there's a lot of branding in it, there's a lot of positioning in it, and there's a lot of marketing So if you could just tell a little bit about that journey of yours, that how did you
It was
come across
just going out on the field. That's it. There was nothing we used to we used to put in these flyers
Correct.
in the newspapers. So typically my day would start with about 4:30 in the morning, going and take a couple of boys with me. And then initially there were no boys. So initially it used to be me and sit on the footpath and just put the flyers inside the newspapers. Yeah. So it talks about multimedia, talks about short-term courses in graphic designing, web designing, audio video editing. Those are the initial courses. Animation had not set in that time.
Correct.
It used to be only graphic design, web design, audio video editing, those kind of courses. Animation came much later. VFX even much later.
Okay.
And gaming was very later stages. So it used to start like that and then go back, take a quick shower and come back and sit in the office and wait for people to come, seeing that leaflet people might come in. And we also used to do cold calls. It's like just go randomly and knock on the doors of people and look, this is a new field in the market. It's called as multimedia. Do you have a kid who has done his 10th or PUC or whatever, plus 2 or whatever it is? Why don't you consider this as a career? So obviously 8 out of 10 people used to bang the doors. One used to offer water and one used to come call us inside, and then we used to brief them about what this field is all about. So it's been that kind of journey where actually we took it to the houses, either through flyers or through cold call activities or through going to the colleges and randomly talking to students, requesting the principal to give us a time to address people. Most of them would not understand, but you would make all efforts to make them understand. So these kind of field activities only. There was no social media, there was no internet. There was nothing to bank upon. So it was only us, and we were the resource. We had to go and do it ourselves. So those are the days, but it was fun. To be able to create a market. See, everybody is a part of an established market. We were trying to create a market. We were trying to create a sector, create a stream. So it's always challenging to create a stream. To be a part of an existing stream is easy and be successful in that. That's what the later players in the market got. Later on, whoever came in the market, they already had a stream readily available. They had to just talk about themselves, not about the field. But for us, it was actually introducing the sector, introducing the stream to the market. So that's not a little challenge, not real, a little, but it was really very huge challenging task for us.
That's a very interesting start that you had, and as any other business, you would have had your own struggles and etc. But I'm sure there must have been a time when you assumed that this is how you would grow, but then comes a roadblock that suddenly you look at that, this is not growing as what I had expected, and I really need to change some tracks and etc. Rethink a few things, add a few things, and etc. So at what juncture did you really get a sense of that?
We started with multimedia, and it was basically talking about only graphic designing, web designing, and audio video editing, which was not enough because we were talking about animation. We were talking about visual effects because that's what a Toy Story or a Jurassic Park showed the world. So we realized that getting into animation is the need of the hour. And then we ventured into animation training. That again, you had 2D and 3D, two kinds of animation, and 2D was quite popular in those days. 2D, of course, was made popular in the early 1920s by Walt Disney, Sir Walt Disney, and later on in 40s and 50s by Sri Dadasaheb Phalke also in India. And so the field was there. But that awareness and that where to do, how to do kind of thing was not there. So we tried to connect the dots and tried to see that, okay, fine, let's get into animation. And in the early 2000s, we got into the animation part of it. And we started teaching on 2D animation, which was quite popular. And later on, 3D came into the picture. And so 2D and 3D, and later on, there are so many other techniques that are added into it. So 2D and 3D animation is what we started because we realized that, this is not only about graphic designing or web designing or audio video editing, there's much more than that. And animation, we started off immediately. And then after a couple of years, 2-3 years later, we got into the visual effects part. Because I think that time Matrix series came out and a lot of visual effects that was seen in that.
Yeah.
So as and when the industry threw up surprises. We also tried to cope up with it and try to add up a few things according to the industry's requirement. As the industry grew, we also grew along with the industry. So it has to go hand in hand. So as and when technologies keep coming in, we have to immediately enhance ourselves, learn the new technologies, offer the new courses on technologies, train our trainers on the new technologies, and move on. So I think we are fortunate enough in getting the right people at the right times to grow this entire thing. And now it's like crazy. It's like all over the place. It's like gaming and AR, VR, XR, metaverse. Now with the AI coming in, it's like it's thrown up a huge amount of options with AI. So enhancing yourself with AI is a very big challenge now, because we can talk about that for a lot of things that we can talk about AI. But this is how we came. As and when the industry evolved, our training systems evolved, our procedures evolved, the courses that we wanted to evolve, because we never fell back. I mean, like, we were always on par with the evolving technologies. So actual roadblocks, if you ask me, in my journey, it's very few, except the initial challenges that we had in creating awareness about the field. But later on, every time we introduced a new technology, it took us some time to take it to the people and make them aware that, look, now this has evolved now, and you have to do this if you have to stay on par with the industry demand. Otherwise, apart from that, I think it's been a quite satisfying journey, because this field itself is like that. Media entertainment is a evergreen field. So as and when the field changes, we used to change with the field. So whatever new technology used to come in, we used to immediately incorporate that and go on with that. So the field itself is like that. It's like every day you get to learn something. Every day, like I would say I'm still a student, because the evolving technology doesn't allow me to become a expert or a professional, because something else comes up which again tells you, boss, you have to go out and learn something. I think the basic thing required of an entrepreneur, or from a business owner, or from a founder, or from a leader, is that he or she has to keep evolving themselves, has to keep learning always. The day we stop learning, we are done. We are finished. So we need to keep learning. So now I'm learning, I mean, like the AI, what is this AI? What is artificial intelligence? And how will it change the business dynamics here? Be it in the content production side or in the education side. So constantly keeping yourself on the toes, learning technologies, evolving yourself, in turn evolving your team also, getting them on par with the technologies that are coming in. It's all a cycle. It has to keep going. So I think that's it. I mean, like,
So you must have seen that there is a big demand from the industry side, and you always try to align yourself to what the industry demand is and how the industry is evolving, so you can provide those courses and etc. On the other side, the students, what have you seen a change from the student demands? That so, for example, that I'm assuming that most of your courses are offline courses, and they come to a center and they do that and etc. But how is your student evolved? That what are his demands and etc. for a...
So the demands have definitely evolved in a very big way. If you ask me about a student 30 years back and today, there's a huge difference. I mean, like, here, I would say every 2 years the generation changes, not even 5 years. Like every 2 years the generation changes. So that's what I told initially also. Like, I have not been allowed to grow as a person, because for the last 30 years, I've been only dealing with kids in their 18 to 20 age group. So I have to get back to their level, think like them, what they want, what is the industry demand today, what is the students' demand today. So it's a thought process, what extra I can give, what are they wanting now. So they come, obviously they want everything fast. Today's generation, they want fast. They want fast education, they want fast jobs, they want fast money. Yes, there are people who would want to invest time and money on that for a considerable amount of time. But generally, the generation is like, they're very inquisitive. They're very, very fast-paced. They don't have patience, basically. But it's one way it's good. I mean,
Correct.
you can actually accelerate your growth.
Yes.
But the other side is that, the flip side is that you need to invest a proper amount of time if you have to become good in some industry. So now the challenge is to tell these kids, the people who come in this generation, is that, look, if you want to be a master, if you want to be a professional in this field, you have to invest this much of minimum time in this. It cannot be overnight. You have to invest this much of time. You have to learn. You have to practice, because majority is practical oriented.
Correct.
The entire field is a practical oriented environment.
Correct.
So you have to spend a lot of time on these things. You have to work a lot. And if you put in more number of hours, you can succeed faster.
Correct.
It's not that you work less and you can earn more, or you work less and you can be successful more. It is proportionate. You work fast, you work more, you will settle more faster, you will earn more faster. But without that, you can't. So that is the main challenge now, is to make them understand. I can understand your wants. I can understand that you are in a hurry to make money. You're in a hurry to be successful. But it comes with its process.
Yes.
So that is the challenge today. It's not about getting a job or helping them become an entrepreneur. It is the main challenge is to make them understand that, look, you have to invest this much of time if you have to be successful. And that time, it has to be used properly, effectively. And you have to work on a lot, practice a lot. Like we still encourage our students to draw. Even though it's almost becoming obsolete and people are directly onto the technology side, directly they want to draw, animate, everything on the system.
Correct.
We still encourage the students to draw, because when you go and sit in a bus stand or a park or a railway station and you observe things around you and you draw people around you, the walk of life, the different walks of life, people coming there, somebody selling something on the bus stand, somebody rushing to the office, somebody boarding a bus, running to catch a bus, or in the nature, like you sit in a park and you see people coming in, talking with each other, family issues, whatever it might be. So whatever you see, observe, or for that matter, temple drawing, temple sketching. Take them to temples, make them sit there in their environment, tell them to sketch their environment. The more the keen observation powers they get, they'll be better artists. So we encourage them to go out, bheed mein baith ke, see people, see the environment, sketch whatever you feel like, sketch whatever you see. Because the more you observe, the more you evolve, the more you learn. So we still encourage them to go through the traditional way of painting or sketching.
Correct.
Which will help them in a long way.
So that brings you to the next, a much larger question, that do you see students today focusing more on these skill-based courses? Because somewhere the traditional education, because today what we see is youngsters are primarily focused on getting a job, right? That how can they start earning money much, much faster?
True.
And sometimes the traditional format of education, right, is not giving them that, as compared to a lot of that, until they acquire some sort of a skill and etc. And they have started realizing that acquiring a skill gets them to earn faster as compared to a traditional education. Do you see that sort of a shift happening, that kids are now getting more focused on that traditional education is fine, but I really need to have some...
Yes, definitely. There were the days when students were interested, but they couldn't convince their parents. And we were also having difficulty convincing their parents that, look, need not go to the real conventional stream of doing an engineering or a medical or MBA or lawyer or whatever it is. This is also a equally good or a better stream than those to make a career. Cut to now, parents themselves come with the children and tell that I want my son or daughter to be an animator or a VFX artist or a gaming artist. That's a huge shift. So today people realize that there is a career in this. And people who do our courses are in a better chance, have a better chance and have a bigger chance of earning more than the traditional stream of courses that are available.
Correct.
And now with degree programs being offered by us in various streams related to media education, I think there was a time when there was no degree courses in this field. It was only certificate courses and programs on animation and visual effects and gaming. Today, degree programs are being offered. So it also solves the problem of a parent that may want my son or daughter to be a graduate.
Correct.
In the past, it used to be a complaint.
Yes.
That whatever he studies with you, he is not a graduate.
Correct.
So that graduate thing was stuck in their parents' mind, that like my son has to be a graduate.
Correct.
Or my daughter has to be a graduate. So that is also solved now. So they can come and do degree programs in our institutions in animation, VFX, gaming, which solves that issue also.
Correct.
And the sector-wise also, people are more aware about it. And people are talking about it. People know that this has the kind of potential that the other mainstream careers might not have, mainstream sectors. So I think it's changed a lot. And now we're in the right point of time where from here, what we do from here will define the way forward. Like always keep saying that, still I think we have to catch them young. In the school level, people have to be introduced to these courses.
Correct.
It is not a decision that you make once you reach your +2 and then think, what shall I do? It has to be imbibed into their theme.
Correct.
So they have to know what this softwares can do or what these fields can do right from a very young age. So if it is imbibed in the course curriculum of the schools, where they're introduced to these technologies at a very young age, it will help them make a better decision when they actually come to that stage.
Yes.
So that's one thing I keep talking about, and I think there are people who are working towards making it happen. So I think it's a matter of time. It's already being it's started in a lot of places, and it's going to go in a bigger way. And I think today there's more focused.
Yeah.
In the past, people walk in with a blank mind. We had to fill that. Ye karo, ye karo, ye karo. These are the options.
Correct.
Today, when they walk in, they know what they want to become. They know they want to become an animator or a VFX artist or a gamer or whatever is there in that sector. We just have to suggest the right course to them. So, apna kaam aasan ho gaya.
Correct.
So, times have changed. Today, we are in a better position.
You still see a little conflict because parents typically still have this perception that, animation is all related to gaming. Already my child spends too much time on the laptop, too much time on the mobile. Now he's going to get into a career which is also all about that. Do you feel that kind of a conflict is still there?
That conflict is still there.
And how do you address that?
And it will remain.
And how do you address that?
See, we have to talk about a lot of success stories to them. See, in fact, more than the students, we'll have to counsel the parents.
Correct.
In the past, we used to counsel a lot. Today, it is lesser compared to what we used to counsel them in the past. So today, they also know. They are also aware about what is happening. Esports is a very big thing, and gamers are earning a lot of money in this field. Gaming, in fact, is growing at about 40%, which is probably bigger than the animation, VFX, and the entire movie industry put together. The gaming industry alone has the potential to grow that much. So people are more aware. But the conflict is always there because from a very young age, nowadays, the parents, they expose the kids to the technology.
Yeah.
So small kids also, unless they're given the iPad or mobile, or put some nursery rhyme or put some show on that, they will not eat.
Correct.
So they've got used to it.
Yes.
So whom do we hold responsible? The parents are responsible for the kids getting hooked to it.
Correct.
Because ये नहीं दिखाया तो वो खाना नहीं खाएगा. तो
You want him to
हर एक का कोई एक फेवरेट कैरेक्टर रहता है, कोई फेवरेट गेम शो, फेवरेट कार्टून शो रहता है. Only when you see that they will eat. So it's the parents who have put that idea into the kids. So again, go back to the thing that I have always believed in the power of reading.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I want to touch upon another aspect is the comics. So in our age, we grew up reading comics.
Yes.
Whatever stories we knew, whatever या तो grandparents से सुना होगा या comics से पढ़ा होगा.
Correct.
So कहाँ गया वो? That system is not
nobody reads comics, they watch comics.
So we are, as an industry, are making a conscious effort to bring back comics in a very big way.
Understood.
So we want to encourage the kids to read books, read comics. Rather than going on the handheld device and seeing that, we would want them to flip the pages and read the book.
Yeah.
So that is one thing that we're trying to bring back into the culture of growing up.
Interesting. So my last segment is all about that. Today, a lot of education is shifting towards online.
Yep.
Have you thought about that? Are you working towards that? How you can actually bring
We
in?
did that. In fact, especially during the COVID stage, we didn't have any other option, so we had to introduce online version. The problem with that is that our courses are more practical oriented rather than theory oriented. So it cannot be read. It has to be practiced.
Correct.
So the amount of time that a person works on the software is more important than what he reads through the books. And when he's working on the software, on the tools, he gets stuck somewhere. There has to be a trainer or a tutor or a faculty who has to guide him to go further.
Correct.
So, though the entire world is now on online, we tried, and later on, post-COVID, we went back to the offline only, because online doesn't work that smoothly in our sector, but there are people who are trying it. Probably the smaller softwares or the less important tools can be taught still. But when you come to the advanced softwares and advanced tools, it is very important to be offline. It is very important for a person to be on the system and with a tutor or a faculty guiding him. So an ILT or an instructor-led training is very, very important in our sector. But like any other thing, even this also should catch up. There are a lot of people who are already offering online training on these sectors. But I'm really not very sure about how successful they'll be in training the student, or how good the student would become, whether he'll be on par with the industry standard, because at any point of time, he might get stuck somewhere. And that's when an offline teaching or an instructor-led training is very important. It can be a hybrid model. You can have some modules on online and some advanced modules offline. It cannot be purely online model, but it has to be a hybrid model. Then it works.
So, I mean, Srinivas, thanks a lot. Thank you so much. I mean, it was great understanding. And, I always tell people who are involved with the skilling part of it that, as compared to our generation when we were studying at that point in time, there were such limited options for us to, do jobs, earn money or whatever. But today, with courses and the effort that you have put, right, children have so many more options, and they can actually, if, whether it is animation, multimedia or whatever that is there is great opportunity for them to do something which they're excited about. Right? Those are the options that are getting generated. You are skilling them and not just educating them. Right? So, and with that, actually the industry also gains, right? Because the industry requires skilled resources. And that is a great opportunity that I see growing even significantly higher at some point in time and whatever. So thank you so much. I mean, I especially learned a lot today about the kind of stuff that you're doing and how you actually built it across, and how the positioning that you actually created around this whole multimedia and ultimately animation, etc. Amazing stuff that you are doing. And thank you so much again for coming to Mumbai. You flew down specially from Bangalore to be with us. We really like that effort, because now I can completely understand the kind of hard work that you would have done, and you would have easily done it through that. If something has to be done, and then it has to be done. Right?
That's right.
Yeah. But thank you so much, Srinivas.
Thank you so much for this experience, and really nice talking to you, and looking forward to many more such things in the future. You're doing a brilliant job, and I'm really thankful for you to call me all the way from Bangalore. And it was a very nice experience being a part of this podcast. And thank you once again.
And you're a natural.
Thank you so much.